5 moments that made fans swoon. Lee Joon-ho and Yoona in King the Land. In this exclusive video, we bring you the revelation that melted millions of hearts across the world. Before the cameras even stopped rolling, before the final episode had aired, fans everywhere were already whispering the same question: is this really acting? Because in King the Land, Lee Joon-ho and Yoona did more than play lovers. They made us believe. They built a romance so magnetic, so emotionally charged, that every glance, every accidental touch, and every quiet silence between them felt alive, as if we were witnessing something unscripted. Something real. And that is the secret power of King the Land. It wasn't just about a rich heir and a hotelier. It was about timing, connection, and that mysterious, invisible spark that no camera can fake. Tonight, we dive deep into the 5 defining moments that made fans all over the world fall head over heels for Lee Joon-ho and Yoona, the moments that turned this romantic comedy into one of the most unforgettable K-dramas of the decade. So sit back, and let's return to King the Land, where laughter met longing, and where a smile could change a man's entire world. Hold on tight, K-drama family. The world of your favorite celebrities is unfolding before your eyes, and every moment is more breathtaking than the last. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Moment 1, the first encounter. When opposites collided, every love story has a beginning. But few beginnings have been as instantly electrifying as the first meeting between Gu-won, the cold and perfectionist hotel heir, and Cheon-sarang, the warm-hearted employee who believes every guest deserves a smile. In that first encounter, there was no music, no dramatic rainstorm, just tension. Sharp, witty, unspoken tension. He was the man who hated fake smiles. She was the woman who built her world around them. And in that moment, their eyes locked across the polished marble floors of King Hotel. The world seemed to pause. The air changed. The audience could sense it. These two weren't just written for each other. They were destined to clash, and in that clash, love would find its way. What began as annoyance quickly turned into fascination. And behind the sarcasm, behind the misunderstandings, was the unmistakable spark that would grow into something much deeper. It was the perfect setup, 2 opposite forces, unknowingly rewriting each other's definitions of happiness. Moment 2, the unexpected rain. When pretending was no longer possible, there are scenes in K-drama history that become immortal. Moments when time stops, hearts race, and every drop of rain feels like it's falling for love itself. For Lee Joon-ho and Yoona, that moment came during the unexpected downpour scene. Gu-won, who had built walls higher than his own hotel, stood under the rain, emotionless, until Sarang approached him. Without words, without overacting, Yoona's gentle expression told a story. Her eyes searched his face not for apology, not for drama, but for truth. And in that fleeting second, something inside him cracked. The rain became their confession. He looked at her, really looked at her, as if seeing the concept of warmth for the very first time. It was cinematic minimalism at its best, a simple scene elevated by chemistry so strong that the world didn't need dialogue to understand it. That's when the fans knew, this was not ordinary on-screen chemistry. This was 2 professionals turning emotion into art. Moment 3, the rooftop laughter. When walls came down, some of the most powerful moments in romance are not the confessions, not the kisses, but the laughter. After a long day, Gu-won and Sarang found themselves alone, high above the city lights, on the hotel rooftop. It was supposed to be casual. It turned into something unforgettable. Yoona's laughter rang through the night air, unfiltered, genuine. Joon-ho, still half-guarded, tried to resist the pull of her warmth. But the more she laughed, the more the cracks in his armor widened. And then, for the first time, he laughed too. That small, unguarded laugh, the kind that escapes before pride can stop it, became one of the drama's most replayed moments online. Because it wasn't just laughter. It was surrender. It was the moment Gu-won stopped being a character, and became human. The moment the fans realized, love isn't about fireworks. It's about someone who makes you laugh again when you've forgotten how. Moment 4, the confession that changed everything. By the time their romance reached its breaking point, audiences were fully invested. Every stolen glance, every almost touch had been building toward this, the moment when truth could no longer be contained. Under the glow of city lights, Joon-ho's Gu-won finally broke his silence. His confession wasn't loud, wasn't dramatic. It was trembling honesty. "I don't know when it happened," he said, his voice barely a whisper, "but you've become the only thing that makes sense to me." In that moment, Yoona didn't respond with tears or theatrics. She simply looked at him, that soft, knowing gaze that only she could deliver, and smiled. A smile that said, "I've been waiting for you to catch up." The power of that scene lay not in the words, but in the silence between them. It was a masterclass in emotional timing, two actors at the height of their craft, letting stillness speak volumes. Viewers described it as the heartbeat scene. Because even through the screen, you could feel it, that quiet pulse of love, honest and unpretentious. Moment 5, the final embrace. When the fairy tale became real, every great love story needs closure. And in King the Land, it arrived like a sunrise after a long night. After battles fought, misunderstandings cleared, and love tested through distance and pride, Gu-won finally held Sarang in his arms, not as the hotel heir, not as a boss, but as a man who had finally learned what love means. It wasn't grand or loud. It was slow, tender, inevitable. Yoona leaned into him, her face half lit by the morning sun. Joon-ho's hand lingered on her back, as if afraid to let go, because somewhere between take 1 and take 50, that emotion had become real. And when he whispered her name, softly, the world believed it. That scene, quiet, breathtaking, unforced, became one of the most replayed finales in K-drama streaming history. Because in it, we didn't just see characters closing a story. We saw two souls, one light, one shadow, finding balance. Fans still talk about it today, calling it the perfect ending to a perfect romance. Beyond the screen when King the Land ended, the fandom didn't. Clips continued to circulate. Fan edits reached millions of views within hours. Comment sections filled with messages like, "They made me believe in love again," and "Their chemistry wasn't acting, it was destiny." Lee Joon-ho and Yoona had done what few on-screen couples can achieve. They turned fiction into emotion, dialogue into heartbeat, and a K-drama into a shared global experience. And perhaps that's the real magic behind their 5 unforgettable moments, that every viewer, no matter where they were in the world, felt something personal. They reminded us that love, in its purest form, doesn't need translation. It only needs truth. So the next time you watch King the Land, don't just look for the romance. Look for the moments, the rain, the laughter, the silence, the confession, the embrace. Because within them lies something eternal, not just the story of Gu-won and Sarang, but the artistry of Lee Joon-ho and Yoona. 2 stars. 1 story. And 5 moments that will forever remind us why we fall in love with K-dramas. The first table read, the birth of unspoken magic. It began months before filming even started, in a quiet conference room filled with scripts, laughter, and the hum of nervous excitement. The cast gathered around the long table, the King the Land logo shining faintly behind them. When Joon-ho walked in, the room instantly shifted. There was a sense of quiet authority, the natural presence of a man used to perfection. Moments later, Yoona arrived, greeting everyone with that effortless grace that makes time itself slow down. Their eyes met for the first time across the table, not as characters, not as idols, but as artists. What followed was the first read-through of their lines. But for everyone in that room, it felt like watching something powerful ignite. As the words of Gu-won and Sarang began to fill the air, even the director couldn't look away. There was rhythm. Timing. A rare, mutual respect. When the reading ended, the room stayed silent for several seconds, a silence that spoke louder than applause. The director finally said, "This is going to be special." And he was right. That day, the magic of King the Land was born, not in the script, but in the connection between two professionals who didn't need to act to understand each other's energy. The rehearsal room, when chemistry became language as filming began, their chemistry only deepened. Every scene was rehearsed with precision. But what made their performance unforgettable was what happened between the lines. There was an ease, an instinctive rhythm that couldn't be taught. Joon-ah would adjust his tone slightly, and Yoona would instantly mirror the emotion. She would shift her gaze, and he'd pick up the cue before the director even called action. It was silent synchronization. A dance between confidence and softness. Crew members began to whisper that they didn't need to force chemistry, it was already alive. Some even joked, they must have been actors in love in a past life. And in many ways, that's what it felt like. Because what the camera captured wasn't just dialogue, it was emotional conversation, spoken without words.